Okay, we're going to be going over the Famous American Railroads set number 1. I know I briefly covered the locomotive when I was initially just going to be doing just the steamers by themselves, but I scrapped that. And I've actually got most of the Famous American Railroad stuff now, so I'm actually going to be doing an individual video on each one, showcasing them. I already did the 5th set, which was the Pennsylvania, but I recently got all the cars for that one, so I'm going to be redoing that one. But since I went over the engine, pretty much, I'm going to kind of just skip it. Not going to do any running or anything either. The layout's just a mess right now, but we'll go over the cars real quick that were in this set. But just to recap, in 79, the Famous American Railroads lineup was announced. The Santa Fe was the first set. They let out with this Hudson. And then this was a interesting little specialty car that came out. Oops, wrong way. And as you can see, it's got the 5 railroads on there that would eventually make up the set. And it also calls them Famous Historic Railroads, which, let me grab my catalog here real quick, because you will see, let me put this in front of the camera, there's the set, Santa Fe, but if you see up there it says featuring America's Great Railroads, and there's the logo, Great American Railroad. Looks like they definitely could not make up their mind a few times on what the name of this set would be. This was the 79 Command Performance Spring, there we go, catalog, advertising a couple things coming out. In 79, Lionel was finally starting to really grasp what they had going on with their with a collector's line, as it would eventually become. But move on from that, I'll show you the, actually get this out of the way a little bit. But, here's the 79 catalog. As you can see, the Santa Fe's on there. There's the Blue Comet. The other big thing that year, the aluminum passenger cars came back. Let me get this flipped open real quick, because I didn't pre-open these. You already would have saw this the other day, I think, because I went over the general. But there it is, Famous American Railroad Series, now with its official name. The pictures in this are a little different than the other one, because they got the little herald on there with the Spike logo. It appears initially that was not going to be something that featured on those. And the last flyer is the Collector's Accessory Center flyer that came out later. And as you can see, there's the box car, and those were given out free to dealers who purchased large masses of things. But all kinds of weird stuff came out in these that are uncatalogued. You had short cars, diesels, and then the add-on, which was something the Famous American Railroad sets always did. I don't have this crane. I'm not a fan of it, so I didn't want to spend the money on it, but that's the add-on crane that they did. Not too rare to get those cranes. I just couldn't justify spending the money on a crane I didn't like. But at any rate, this is the car. I believe these initially, back in the day, were kind of rare, but I think at this point with the internet, they've kind of gotten to a point where if you want one, you can get one pretty easy. They don't cost too darn much. But moving along, the first car in this set is actually kind of an interesting oddball, as it's a Woodside box car with the old Santa Fe map on there. From what I understand, at the time, most of these Woodside cars got used for like what they would call the tobacco row or tobacco line or something like that. They'd just be done up with logos for various tobacco companies and a couple other oddball things. So as far as I'm aware, back in the day, this is the only usage of one of these for a actual somewhat prototypical car. Well, these are kind of an interesting car. pop them out of there real quick because they kind of reused and combined some pieces from like the Woodside reefers and some boxcar parts to make these. So it's kind of an interesting little cobble together of things. But for some strange reason, it was a car that didn't get a lot of usage other than weird specialty items. A couple on there. Together. Okay. So this kind of started how these would go for the time being, which was always a boxcar, a reefer, a tank, and a hopper, and then a bay window caboose. Pennsylvania, though, would really buck the trend differently, which you can kind of see it behind there as I'm moving. There is the Santa Fe reefer. Nothing too special about it. Definitely more subdued colors than the yellow off the Woodside boxcar. And then she's glaring really bad. Try to zoom in a little bit. Try to get that glare. No, there we go. Then we got the Santa Fe tank car, which I always thought was a pretty nice looking tank car. Nothing too crazy looking with it. Pretty basic guy. And then the hopper car, which is kind of showing up okay. That red's looking a little funky on the view screen. But yeah, just a bright red, average run-of-the-mill Santa Fe hopper. Nothing too fancy about it. And then finally, we get to the Santa Fe bay window caboose, which is in slightly subdued colors to make it look a little more prototypical. But this is a pretty popular-ish set. It's slightly harder to put together than some of the others. The prices on it aren't too bad, but for some weird reason, I guess since this was the first one and people really weren't sure what to expect, it does definitely seem to be a little bit less production numbers on this set than you'd find on some other items. But ultimately, it's a nice little set. Definitely set the stage for how Lionel's going to be working collector lines for a little bit. And they definitely put a lot of good work and effort into some aspects of it. Some of it's a little silly, like the bright yellow boxcar and the bright red hopper. But, you know, everything's got to start somewhere. So we'll follow up. We'll be going in order on these. So the next set will be the UP, and then we'll do the Great Northern, and then we'll do Southern, and then we'll touch on the Pennsylvania again. So that'll do it for today.